Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the WeSportin Podcast. I'm the host this time because it is for a very special reason. We said we were going to be bringing you more sports now that football season is over. And today we are going to be bringing you the first ever episode of MLB content. We're going to be covering baseball. And there's a very special reason for that because the four best words in sports are happening today, in my opinion. Pitchers and catchers report. It is baseball season once again. Pitchers and catchers are flocking to Florida and Arizona for spring training. And with that, the start of a new MLB season means the start of a new WeSportin series. That's right. We're going to be covering baseball every week, and we're going to be calling this series Baseball for Dummies because although I know a fair bit about the sport, and it is my best sport, it's the one I've played, it's the one I've covered the longest, my friend Nico over here, not as experienced. And you know what? So are a lot of people. And that's okay. Our job here is to educate you on what's going on in the baseball world and just help you understand the game a little bit better. So in baseball news, like I said prior, pitchers and catchers report today, which means spring training is right around the corner. February 22nd, in just 5 short days, the rest of the team will join the pitchers and catchers down in their respective spring training sites. And that means February 28th, spring training games kick off. And spring training games will happen for about a month through all of March. And then the clubs will head to their respective cities or respective locations for the usual April 1st opening day. Even though last year was the pandemic shortened season, only 60 games, it was really weird. They plan to go back to the normal MLB schedule with 162 games, the full shebang, April 1st opening day, April through October and November. It's going to be a great MLB season.
I do want to add, though, how about we just maybe tell them what our favorite teams are real quick, just so they have a mind.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
So,
I'll go first. For those of you who don't know, got to take off the hair. This is the baseball flow right here. I've been growing it out for baseball season, baby. I always wear a hat in these kinds of videos, but I am a Boston Red Sox fan. I know, shocking, right? Even though I'm from the Chicagoland area, I was born and bred a Boston Red Sox fan. I am a diehard Red Sox fan, born a Bo Sox fan. I will die a Bo Sox fan. And yeah, Nico, who's your favorite team?
Well, I stay in the generic city of where I'm from. I'm from the outside of Chicago. And to think I am not a Sox fan, but I am a Cubs fan. I got the Cubs banner, 2016 World Series, and I have the newspaper of when they won it right here. The newspaper of the day that it came out. And I got the banner. Now, I am a Cubs fan.
That was a very good day in Chicago history.
Yes.
I'm a Cubs fan. I like all baseball. You know what? I was happy for the city of Chicago. But it seems like so long ago. And even though that was a great Cubs team, the future of the Cubs
is a little rough.
It's looking a little murky, but it's all right. It's okay.
Yep.
So we're just going to be talking baseball. And Nico, since you don't know as much about the sport, I mean, if you have any questions, I'll explain to you and the rest of the people watching and help you understand a little bit better.
All right, so guys, mostly this will be more of like a kind of a Q&A series of where I ask them questions, but we also will cover MLB news as well.
We're so used to covering football that now that we're covering
I know, guys.
It's a little weird. It's going to be a weird adjustment, but it's okay. Baseball for dummies. We're doing it.
Yeah. First things first.
Since there's not that much, like big MLB news right now, than like off-season transactions and like pitchers and catchers reporting. Like, we'll just do more of a Q&A for this episode. But as more things happen in the MLB season, games start getting played, injuries, transactions, all that sort of thing in season, we will be covering MLB news at the start of every episode.
I will say this, though, for any Cubby fan or any Cub fans that are, MLB fans, Jake Arrieta came back to the Cubs.
Jake Arrieta did come back to Chicago. He's back with the Cubbies. How do you feel about that as a Cubs fan?
Okay, here's my thing on Arrieta. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I don't know baseball, but I know Cubs baseball. when Arrieta was there playing for us, the year that we went to the World Series, I liked it a lot. I liked him a lot. But
Oh,
afterwards, he kind of, I can say, he just kind of went on a
he declined a
downward.
little bit. You know what?
And
He did have his best seasons in Chicago.
Mhm,
2015, 2016, he was obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball. That staff
mhm.
was nasty. He obviously went to the Philadelphia Phillies on a 3-year, $60 million
Yeah, he
deal.
wanted to more chase the bag instead of saying for the ring. But at the same time,
Well,
ever
I mean,
since ever
well,
since
the
Arrieta
Philadelphia
left our
Phillies had a lot of promise at that time.
yeah,
But then again, Nico, if somebody was handing you $60 million over the course of 3 years with a player option, which Arrieta eventually took last season, wouldn't you take it as well?
I would take. I mean, I would take it, but ever since then, the Cubs bullpen has kind of just digressed a little bit. And since you Darvish signing, since we got Darvish, everyone thought we were saved. In reality, we weren't saved because had a bad first season with us. Then he kind of came back and played all right. And
No, that's the thing. Let me divulge. Okay, so like the starting rotation of you guys, the pitching is really what killed the Cubs
mm,
last year. Their bullpen is really, really lacking. And I feel like the trend of the Cubs of like blowing it in the 8th and the 9th, I feel like that trend is sadly going to continue. I mean, they signed Craig Kimbrell to a big deal a couple years back. He is not the pitcher that he once was. He definitely needs to reinvent himself. And that bullpen as a whole, I mean, I consider to be one of
yeah,
the worst in baseball. But here's the thing, Darvish last year was actually sort of a bright spot for the Cubs.
mhm.
Darvish and Hendricks, they were the only semblance of pitching that you guys really even had. And as Cubs fans painfully know, you guys traded Darvish to San Diego early in the offseason for a bunch of prospects, which, in my opinion, really signals the retooling and rebuilding of the Cubs franchise. And the
Okay.
questions about the Cubs is, are they going to trade Wilson Contreras, the catcher, Javier Baez, Chris Bryant? Well, I mean, you shake your head because you don't want it to happen,
Yeah,
but the futures are very much in question. And I think that is the problem
yeah.
in Chicago right now, because the bats last year were not good, like in the slight, like down the stretch. They got beat by Miami in the postseason. Their bats didn't come alive at all. Their bullpen let them down. I mean, stuff like Fangraphs predictions and Pacoda, which are the two big predictors of like
Mhm.
how a team is going to do next year. I mean, Pacoda has the Cubs in second, I believe, and Fangraphs gives the Cubs the third highest chance in the NL Central to make the playoffs. Now,
Well, I
do
will say this though. I will say this though. I mean, I can see a lot of that reasoning with the Cardinals' accusations of getting Nolan Arenado, which I believe is probably the best third baseman. Am I correct on these statistics?
that is a huge, huge pickup for
Yeah.
the St. Louis Cardinals, because Nolan Arenado, he had a down year with the bat last year, but he was not happy in
Mhm.
Colorado. And before that, he was collecting silver sluggers, gold gloves, and platinum gloves like it was nobody's business. He's unarguably the best defensive third baseman in
Mhm.
all of baseball.
Yeah, and
And that is a huge acquisition for the Cardinals. And I think that alone, that addition of that bat in the middle of the lineup and that glove at the hot corner, I think that makes them clear division favorites. I know some people like Milwaukee in that division. I like Milwaukee
now
also.
now correct me if I'm wrong. Yelich did go down last year with an ACL injury, correct? He was out for a majority of the season.
Yelich did not have the best year. Yelich will be back, though. Yelich is pretty much, as far as Milwaukee's offense goes, it is Christian Yelich, former National League MVP, center fielder Lorenzo Cain, and second baseman Keston Hiura for the Brewers. Like, their offense as a whole, not one of the more dynamic ones.
Yeah.
But where the Brewers do come up, and where, a lot of the analysts do like the Brewers, is in the pitching, in which it's really surprising, because the Brewers teams in years past have been built on offense. You got like guys like Prince Fielder, Ryan Braun that can hit for average, hit for power, slug home runs, and the pitching was never really there. But now this year, their starting rotation, they got guys like Brandon Woodruff, Josh Lindblom. Like their rotation is sneaky good, and that bullpen is really where the strength. They have two of the best relievers all of baseball for the 8th and the 9th. Yeah. Josh Hader, who long flowing hair, left-hander, down from three-quarter sidearm, looks like it's coming across at you with an absolutely filthy slider. His comparison is Randy Johnson, and Randy Johnson was absolutely
I know who Randy Johnson is.
Back in the early 2000s.
All right.
They have Josh Hader in the bullpen. They also have Devin Williams, who last season proved to have the filthiest changeup in all of baseball. That thing looks like it's coming, like if it just drops right off the table. So I like the Brewers in the bullpen. If they get a lead going into the 7th inning, there is very little chance that they'll blow it with that bullpen.
Now, guys, my next question. I think I'm going to ask 3 questions for this episode. And I know because Drew is going to go into depth onto these questions, which is good. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to ask you this. Who do you think will come out of the NL and AL in the World Series? And who do you see as your future prediction of going to the World Series in 2021?
All right, the 2021 World Series. For the National League, it is very clear to me. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the best team in all of baseball, World Series favorites. It's really not even close. They were already there at the end of last year. They're defending World Series champions. The chance for them to go back-to-back, in my opinion, is very great. And the only team that will maybe stand in the way in the National League of the Los Angeles Dodgers is the San Diego Padres, because the Padres did a lot of retooling in the offseason.
And I was telling Drew that, actually, guys. I was actually sitting there, I was like, well, I think the Padres could make it because I know they got Manny.
They could. But the Dodgers are an entirely different beast. I mean, all those moves that the Padres made, they acquired 3 big arms over the offseason. Yu Darvish, as we discussed previously. They got Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays, and they got Joe Musgrove from the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got all those arms. So now their starting rotation is looking to be filthy. They have signed former closers, Keone Kela. I believe they've also signed Mark Melancon to try to buffer that bullpen and try and make that as sturdy as possible, because that's a very important part of the equation. And their offense with Tatis, Machado, Hosmer, like they are all young. Jake Cronenworth is still there. Tommy Pham, like Austin Nola, like that offense can be loaded. But all that retooling that the Padres did to be contenders was wiped away with one flick of the pen when Trevor Bauer signed a 3-year, $102 million deal to be a Los Angeles Dodger. The Dodgers they've added the reigning NL Cy Young to their already stacked team. I don't see anybody that's going to stand in their way. And Pacoda has the Dodgers predicted to go 103-59. I think that's a little bit low. I think they have a shot to win up north of 110 games. The possibilities are endless for that Dodger team. Now, the American League, it's a little bit tougher to decipher. I think the Yankees, as much as I hate to say it, I think the Yankees have the best shot of winning the American League. I feel like
we've been saying that for years, though. For the last maybe 2-3 years, we've been saying, yeah, we can see the Yankees there. I mean, yeah, we have Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Stanton. I mean, you have they're a powerhouse in hitting.
DJ LeMahieu also. They've bolstered up their pitching staff. They signed Corey Kluber.
And actually, that's going to go to my next question, though.
See, we have been saying that for the last 2 years. That's an excellent point, that we have been saying that for the past 2 to 3 years. However, when I look at all of the teams in the American League, I don't see any team that's really better than them. Like, Minnesota is going to be good. Chicago is the White Sox. They are going to be good.
What about the Blue Jays?
The Blue Jays are up and coming. I think they have a shot to do some damage. The Tampa Bay Rays are defending American League champions. I think they took a hit with a couple losses in the pitching staff, such as Blake Snell and Charlie Morton, but I think they have the potential to do as much damage, but top to I really think that if this is not the Yankees' year to make the World Series, then I don't really know what is. And I know we didn't mention the AL West, but the Astros aren't what they were. That is a weak division. And I have Dodgers, Yankees, and as much as I hate to say that,
yeah,
I think
that actually brings me to my next question, actually, for you, which will be my next and last question. How come? Because I'm not a baseball fan. I like baseball, but I don't really sit down like every night and watch the Cubs play. No, but what I do hear a lot about though is the Yankees. And I see Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu, Garrett Cole, and I like Garrett Cole a lot personally. He's like one of my favorite pitchers in the league because when he played on the Astros when they lost, he's personally been one of my favorites. But I guess what I'm asking you, Drew, is what's the push to get there? What's the one thing that you think they need to get to the World Series that they have been destined for so many years to make, but have always failed to teams that have made it?
So I think the really big question mark for the Yankees, which they have addressed, is starting pitching and also durability, because last year and over the past couple of years, the Yankees have been marred by numerous injuries. So I think two main things, first, they need to stay healthy. They absolutely need to stay healthy because that lineup, when healthy, is pretty good. I mean, LeMahieu led the MLB in batting average. Aaron Judge.
I remember LeMahieu was probably their best player last year because I know
LeMahieu was their best player because Stanton couldn't stay healthy. Judge couldn't stay healthy.
Now, do you think do you ship Stanton though?
That contract is too big to move.
How much?
And the upside of John,
How much he's getting paid?
He is getting paid a lot of money. He's getting paid up north of $30 million a year.
For how many years? 6?
The original contract was 13 years, $325 million for 12 years. So his contract is up until 2027. He's making $29 million this year and next year, $32 million for the next 3 years, $29 million in 2026, and $25 million in 2027. Now, Giancarlo Stanton is 31 years old now. And that big body has been through a lot. However, we've seen the power of Giancarlo Stanton. We've seen the upside of Giancarlo Stanton. Let's not forget, not that long ago, he was National League MVP, hitting 59 home runs in a single season. And that was just absolutely, that was so much fun to watch because it seemed like every other game, Giancarlo Stanton was slugging one out of the ballpark.
Yeah. But
it's the question of, can he stay healthy and can he return to that form? And considering that the last few years he has been down with injury, I'm not sure. Could he?
I think that team is starting to turn into an Aaron Judge and DJ LeMahieu team over Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. And I like Aaron Judge personally too, but it's just I don't think Stanton is just like you said. I don't think Stanton is gonna ever return to that form. He's 31 years old. Will be 36, 37 when his contract is up.
Yeah, by the time 37, 38.
I don't think the Yankees really calculated that well. I think they kind of just went on the fact that he was hot and he was going to stay hot. But obviously, baseball is.
Well, I mean, he signed that huge extension as a Marlin, and then that fire sale that the Marlins had, where they shipped off Stanton, Christian Yelich, and Marcell Ozuna. Which is crazy to me how that team.
They had all those players on that team and they shipped them all off.
Yeah, they had.
Well, I know they had Yelich, but Ozuna plays on the Braves, doesn't he?
Marcell Ozuna had a really good year last year with Atlanta, and he re-upped for 4 years, $64 million. They also had JT Realmuto, who is now one of the best catchers in baseball. I wanted to see the
playoffs this year. Marlins made the playoffs last year.
That is just the what if of the century. But as far as the Yankees go, what the Yankees need is durability and starting pitching. Because yes, they have Garrett Cole, but they have Luis Severino returning from Tommy John. We don't know how he's going to be. Jamison Tyone, who they acquired from the Pirates, also returning from Tommy John. I mean, they signed Corey Kluber. They have Domingo Germán, who pitched really well. They also have Jordan Montgomery. I mean, if they can get a stable, healthy rotation, I don't know if there is a team that's going to stop the Yankees. But that's a large question mark that they have to answer.
And I agree with you as well. I don't see besides injuries, I don't see anyone really coming out of there anymore. Like I said, my favorite team, not favorite team, but like one of my favorite teams to watch in the league. I think I told this to Drew, was the Astros back then.
You're gonna take a lot of flack for saying that. I hope you're
no. Okay, and this is before I thought they were cheating. Now, obviously, I don't like them anymore. But now I think I think the Blue Jays it's gonna come down to the ALCS, and it's gonna be, I think, Blue Jays versus Yankees if all goes well. I would really like to see Blue Jays versus Yankees.
I would love to see the Blue Jays in the ALCS. Mm-hmm. I think it's about a bit a year too soon. They still need to, they need to let some young guys come up and develop. Like they have, of course, Hyunjin Ryu, who's a really good pitcher, Robbie Ray, who hopefully can turn it around, Nate Pearson, who's a young guy that has some really good potential to be a really good starter. Like that offense is no problem at all. But then again, pitching is becoming more and more important these days. Mm-hmm. Like you see teams like the Dodgers and the Padres and the Yankees, like what did they do this offseason? Like they're contenders. What did they do? They tried to go after good arms, good pitching in the rotation and in the bullpen. And that is what contending teams do. Because if you put up 5 runs, it won't matter if your arms implode and give up 10.
Yeah.
But if your arms shut them down and let up only 2 over the course of a 9-inning game, it's basic mathematics here.
Yeah,
so that is why having a stable rotation and a lockdown bullpen is so important.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of just wraps up my questions for today. If you guys want to see more of this, well, here's the thing. You guys are going to have to see more of this. We're going to keep doing this. Is actually going to be a weekly series between me and Drew. We're going to keep doing this every single week. We're just going to either give you MLB coverage. Me and Dylan will actually have our own show on NBA. Me and Drew are going to cover MLB. So we got you guys going. If you guys are asking for hockey, I'm just going to tell you now, you're not going to get it because no one cares about hockey. And I'm just kidding. Absolutely nobody cares. Not when the Blackhawks were in the World, whatever they call it. Anyway, but thank you guys for watching today's episode. I'm going to have Drew's link down in the description below. I'm going to have mine down in the description below. I'll have Dylan's and Colin's and everybody else. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.